Welcome to the Rise Above podcast. I'm your host, Will Lambley. Today, we're joined by Assistant Director of Player Development for the Arkansas football team, Neil Harrell. First off, thank you for joining us, Neil.
It's a big pleasure to just be here.
Yes, and then Neil, so I know a lot of our listeners maybe follow the Arkansas football team or they follow some college football team. What exactly do you do in your role as the Assistant Director of Player Development?
Player development is basically a job that is you're helping these kids push growth through failure. You're helping these kids with character building. You're helping these kids with basically the day-to-day life. Sometimes the full 10 coaches, they can't do the little things that we do. We want to help that kid be that real father figure. We want to be there when he really, really needs him. If he needs a change of tire, if he needs help with his lease or just finances or whatnot, we want to be that big brother with him. We basically the last coach off the field, the first coach off the field. So the last coach on the field, the first coach off the field. So we want to help him understand that real life is approaching and that we want to help you with your plan once ball is over, even while you're still playing ball. So that's basically what player development is.
That's awesome, and I think that's so important because everyone when they come to play a sport in college, that's usually their main focus. But just having someone that can help show them that after football or say if something happens to you while you're playing football, you can still be successful in life no matter what you're doing.
That is so true because I remember when I was playing, man, I felt like it was always something that I needed. I needed someone to talk to, someone that can help me, and someone that can just pick me up when I'm down. And that's something I just really, really cherish while I'm doing this job. So.
That's awesome. And we'll get back to that a little bit later. But growing up for you, I know you're from Tampa, and I know you had a pretty big family. What was it like growing up in your family?
It was it wasn't no dull moments. Yeah. So I come from a family of a very, very big family. I got 12 brothers and sisters. I'm slapped down dead in the middle right now. Basically, it was always about you was trying to fight for your place to show that you were there, that you wanted to feel like you fit in just enough. So my brothers, they all played sports. My cousin, they all played sports. So basically, if you come from a sports family, you feel like if you're not good in sports, you're going to get lost in the mix. So I made sure I tried to just show that I'm different and I can be able to just play ball with the rest of you guys. So it was just something crazy. My father basically raised all of us. I really didn't know my mother that well. I found out really who she was basically around 8. I asked her who she was because she was basically in and out of jail or whatnot or just out there in the streets. And then that basically just woke me up when I really got a chance to just build that bond with her. I basically started building that bond with her on the backside of my high school career. And then the rest is history. She gave her life to Christ, and now I'm here. So. Oh,
that's awesome. So you said when was it she gave her life to Christ?
She gave her life to Christ. She's an evangelist right now. So around about my 11th grade in high school. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Yeah, we'll get back to that a little bit later. But playing sports growing up, was that kind of were a lot of your siblings playing sports? So you're I want to be like them, or?
I basically did it just because I did want to be like them. So I can show them that I can compete with the big boys. I can be one of the guys, even though it's a gap.
Yeah.
So I was always bigger than my oldest brother, but I was he played defensive back. So my favorite player was Deion Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
His favorite player was Deion Sanders. And his second favorite player was Jerry Rice. So my favorite player was Jerry Rice. So, and it's so wild that everything I wanted to do was be like him, but I was so big, so I found myself morally on the line. So,
okay, yeah, that's kind of how I was growing up too. But with my dad, my dad's favorite player in baseball growing up was always Jeter. So I grew up loving Derek Jeter, and then with basketball it was Paul Pierce, the Truth, and those were kind of my two guys growing up. So I kind of get where you're coming from in that sense.
Yeah.
And what was the age gap between your oldest brother and you?
So. 7 years.
Okay.
7 years. So basically, everything he did, I tried to mimic, basically.
Yeah.
Everything. Basically, even when he went off to college, man, I just wanted to be so much like him. I wanted to do the things he did, but my body wasn't able to. So, he ran track, so I ran track. And even though I was a bigger kid, I just still tried to get out there and just compete and just show that I can do it. So even though I didn't go to Duke, he did graduate from Duke. Because he had another level of just push and drive in the academic field. So, but it's a blessing that I even got a chance to even just compete at the D1 level. So
that's awesome. And then, so did you grow up watching your brother? Did you guys go to the same high school?
Real funny. So it was me. My oldest brother went to Jesuit High School. Then my other brother, he went to Hillsborough High School, and I went to Plant High School. That is all 3 high schools on different sides of the county.
Wow. And are those all in Tampa?
All in Tampa. All in Tampa. So if anybody know about Tampa, they know that's all 3 good ball players.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And then kind of what age was it that you got introduced to football?
My first year of football was for the Ybor City Eagles, and I was like 6. And, man, I was so scared to get hit, and I was just out there taking a pounding. What really just motivated me was just basically my brothers. He was like, whenever you start being scared, that's when the game would start coming to you. So when it started happening, a little later than usual, I still remember I went back, I found my old roster, basically, from my first year of football. I was the only one to make it to play college football.
Wow.
So, yeah, and I was not that good on my first year. So I was not that good. I was very, very average and very, very timid. So
yeah, that's one thing that's crazy about football is, like, when you first start playing, whatever age is, where you're 6 or like me in the 5th grade, right. Like the kids that are good then might not necessarily be the kids that are good like in high school or college, because like everyone grows at different times, and some kids, like, if they're just good because of talent at that age, probably not going to be that good in high school.
That is so true. Sometimes it levels out. So it basically levels out, and I just kept working and kept grinding, because I remember, like, when I was in high school, I remember some of those kids, and they kept saying, man, you guys are getting school calls. And then I was like, yeah. They was like, man, I'm still trying. I'm thinking in the back of my head, you was all world when we was in Little League, but now you just fighting, and now I'm one of the big guys. So
yeah, there was a kid when I was in 5th and 6th grade. He was our running back, and every week he barely made the weight limit because he was so big, and like you couldn't be over like a certain weight, and like he just carried our team. Like most teams we played, we were able to beat really good, not because like our team was insanely talented, but because no one we played could tackle him because he was so big. But yeah, that was always a lot of fun.
That is very funny, man.
And then was there an age you can remember that like you started to gain more of like a love for football?
Basically around about middle school. That's when I really, really started loving it, because I got a chance to watch my brother. He was playing at Jesuit. I got a chance to be the ball boy. I got a chance to be the water boy. And I was like, man, this game is like special. I got a chance to see what a team really looks like. And they coming together. They're basically just bonding and stuff. And I was like, wow, I want to be a part of something like that. And then it just happened like that. So
that's awesome. And yeah, I think that's something that's like so special about football that like you can't get anywhere else in life. Like nowhere else in life you have 11 people in pads going up against another 11 people, and like you all have to work together to be successful, because like you can have one great player, but if everyone's not working together, then your team's probably not going to be that good.
That is
and I
so
think
true.
That's something that I'm sure you realize from a young age, but I've also realized that like football is just like such a great way to something that I love that I once heard Coach Dabo Swinney for Clemson say is he said that I believe football was made on the 8th day because it just creates so many life lessons that you just can't teach, really.
That is so true. Brotherhood, just family. You just find all of that mental toughness all in football, because if you don't have a brotherhood, you don't have a family within that bond, you'll have nothing. Like basketball, you can go out there and you can have one star and he can go out there and drop 50.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was telling someone, like, if you're playing against LeBron, like, your team's probably screwed unless you have some other all-stars.
Yes, that is so true.
But
so true. So
it kind of going towards high school. In high school, so when you started playing, did you like at first was it like did you know you were going to be a star on the team like right from your freshman year, or did it kind of take some time?
From my freshman year, I was still a little timid. But I didn't know how to really take criticism well my freshman year. So, like, all the times, like my high school coach would go back and tell my brother everything I was doing because I wasn't doing it to the level that everybody expected it to. But everybody was looking for me to be the guy. I just didn't know how to do it. Maybe it was just probably the delivery of the conversation or whatnot. But when it finally clicked, basically my senior year, then everything else was just working out. Because I was very lazy. I was just that big kid that just wanted to go through the motions. I was fast, but I still just didn't care. I didn't care about work, and I didn't care about putting in the work, whatnot. So it just didn't happen until like the later part of my years. So, and then once it happened, it just happened. Everything just started building from there. So.
And then during this time, were you playing defensive line all of high school?
No, I played basically at multiple positions in high school. So it was mainly defensive line and O-line, but then I played a little fullback. Then I played a little tight end also. So I got a little skill set. So. And
the high school you went to was a pretty big high school in Tampa, right?
It was a very, very big high school. It built me where I am today, basically. Playing high school, I come from under Robert Weiner. He's at Toledo. He's office coordinator, assistant head coach up there. And James Harrell, he's my defensive coordinator. That's my uncle. He's one of my father figures.
I was like, I know that last name sounded familiar.
So basically, being under him, learning his defense is something special. And being under Coach Weiner, because he coached my brother at Jesuit. So, like, that was something very, very special because everything he said, I just believed in because I just remember him from the summer camps, the football summer camps, running out there and just believing every word he said. It's just because they won so much. And I was like, man, if he can do it for my brother, why can't he do it for me? So
yeah, that's something awesome that football can create too, is just the belief, like whether it's a coach installing it in you or just like overcoming adversity and how it can create belief and like so many other aspects in life too. And I know you said like your first 2 years of high school football, like you're kind of just like going through the motions a little bit. Was there a moment, like you said, going into your junior year, you started to like work harder and like started to just have more of a drive for football? Was there like a moment like you can look back to where like it just started to click?
The moment was basically going into the playoffs when I got hurt. So basically, everybody was looking for me to be that guy, but I could not look into myself to just fight through adversity and just push down that wall. So right after that, I kicked down it. I was still out there trying to fight, but so many kids, so many people on my team was looking for me to be that leader, and I just didn't have it. And then once I finally found that little bit of it just, the rest is history. It's just like I was starting to be a little bit more coachable. I started to be a little bit more coaching others and helping others and being more positive, being more motivated because my conditioning was not my friend. I just was just so God-given talented. And then I just was bigger than everybody and stronger than everybody. It was just working out. So I just tried to keep focusing on my skills and just keep grinding through that. And then once my senior year hit, it was just whew. It was special. So
yeah.
I had like 14 sacks my senior year. So I still remember that stat.
I'm sure something you realized your senior year too was like, this is my last year playing high school with all my buddies. So you're like, man, I can't waste this opportunity.
That is so true because you only get it once. You only get it once, man. I know the end goal was to win the state championship, but I remember us winning the district championship and the regional championship, and I thought those was just as big because we was the first team to bring it there. So we was the first one to start Robert Weiner's dynasty back in Plant, and then from our year, the rest was history. So the next year they went 15-0. Then the year after that they won the championship. Wow. So it was just us putting on the wall and just putting that stamp that, all right, we're here to stay and we're here to do some big stuff. So
that's awesome. And I was thinking, I'm sure that as you started to work harder and just have more drive for football, I'm sure that it helped so many people like on your team like work harder too and just like have just more fun and have more of a want to like help the team every day.
Yes, it's just me being a more vocal and being a more positive and just working. It just helped our team all the way around because once they start looking at me to be that force on the D-line, everything else was just clicking from there. So we had a bunch of kids that just came in after us, after my year. It just was just so special. I could spit out some names you probably remember, like probably Aaron Murray. He's on the broadcast show right now at ESPN. And
Georgia.
Yeah, from Georgia. Yeah. So Orson Charles, like it's so on. The list go on and on. So like one of my good friends, his dad used to coach in the NFL, so his son went there, Tony Dungy. So Tony came on.
That's just a little name.
So yeah. So that was a pretty special. But if it wasn't for my year, that team would have been never would have been what it was now. So like we just put that pudding on the wall and we just kept grinding from there. It's just, and we always live by always a link, because once you put one link together to make one chain, it makes a very, very strong chain once you get the next person chain. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. It kind of reminds me of the analogy someone told me, like, if you're going to punch someone, like, you wouldn't just go punch them with, like, one finger, but if you put your whole fists together, then you're creating something powerful. And when you create that day by day, like, you never know, like, how strong, like, your culture or how strong your team could eventually be. And there's a Bible verse that kind of goes along with that, too. And Galatians 6 verse 9, which says, "Don't grow weary of doing good, because at the proper time you'll reap a harvest when you do not give up." And that kind of takes us into our next part about what did it look like for you getting recruited? Was it just like a ton of offers coming in, or did you kind of have to like seek offers?
Oh, for me to get recruited, it was not a ton of offers, because I had test anxiety. So like my test score was not there. My test score was very, very not there. But I got a lot of looks. A lot of schools wanted to see me because my size, and I was very, very quick for my size. And then coming from out of Tampa, Tampa's a very, very hot spot. You want to go to Tampa to recruit guys. It is what it is. So we got a lot of good football players there. But like, my test score was just not that well. So I just had to do better in the classroom. So my tests and grades it can work with the sliding scale. So once that happened, then the school started calling, and then I was so blessed to even get a couple scholarships. So, and then the rest is history.
Yeah. So. And that was probably an aggravating period, because I'm not the great of a test taker too. So just like knowing that like getting into school like depends on like a certain test. I'm sure that was like a real aggravating time.
Yes, it was, man. I scored very, very low. Then I just had to keep taking it. And then my number one focus, my brother was like, man, if you focus more on your grades and you push your grades up and you get your GPA up higher, that means you could score lower. And then I did that. So that worked too. So
that's awesome. And I'm sure you can look back to that time, like where like it was a struggle, like with your grades or whatever it was, and like I'm sure like you can look back to that time even today, like, and it can help you like persevere through circumstances.
Yes, just because I just kept fighting basically, and just never quitting. Basically, I just always just believed and just kept faith. Just kept faith in the main goal. So I knew the main goal was to make it D1, and I knew the main goal was to just try to get these grades up. And if I didn't just never try, never believe, and just never put faith in God, nothing would happen. So.
That's awesome. And as you started getting offers, like what were some like, what did it look like for some like the first offers that started coming in?
My first very offer from high school, it was from Dennis Dixon. He was at NC State.
Okay.
He told me, he told me I looked like Manny Lawson them. So like he hit pretty good out of Tampa with some guys that came before me or whatnot, but he just kept saying, man, we want you, we need you, and then you just need to work on such and such. And then I was like, man, I think I'm going to NC State. It's not too far from my brother. And then North Carolina called, and then that didn't work out. So, man, it was mainly my grades, but I knew if I get my grades up, then more schools would call. So once I got my grades up, I just kept grinding it out. And then Willie Tiger called. So Willie Tiger, he was the coach at Western Kentucky, and I felt like, all right, this is a home. And they started recruiting a couple more teammates, and then we went there as a package deal. So.
Oh wow, that's awesome! And then he's the coach at.
He was the former head coach at FAU.
FAU, okay,
yes.
That makes sense. Okay, so I know that name from somewhere. That's awesome. So once you got the offer from him and you had like teammates you knew they were going to, were you like, man, I got to go if they're going to?
Yes, basically. I just knew that was the best fit for me, man. Western Kentucky, it just felt so good to be at home. When I got up there, it just felt special. And then if you really, really talk to Willie, when like in the recruiting phase, he just felt like a Florida guy. And then he was the only one that made me feel welcome because he still spoke the same language I spoke. And being back from Florida and he was in Kentucky, I just said, man, I can believe in this guy. I got faith in this guy that he can help us get to where we need to be. So I was like, man, I think I want to go here. So, and I knew my one of my teammates, he was going to go too. So Kenny Allen. So.
Okay, that's awesome. And yeah, especially having someone like that you can like genuinely trust and like someone like that you can connect with and more than anything just like understands you. I'm sure that was a huge thing in picking Coach Taggart. And then once you started at Western Kentucky, were like the workouts, was it like a big culture shock from high school, or was it like pretty similar, or what was that like?
Man, the workouts in college was very, 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 very shocking because there's nowhere near close to high school, man. High school, you get away with a little bit more. In college, it is you. You got to focus on you because if you don't do it, the coach is going to make you do it. So they're going to demand excellence. Yeah. And that's one thing I didn't get from high school. Well, that's just one thing you're going to wake up pretty fast because college is something special. It's only 7% of guys from high school going over to college anyway. So, and I was part of the 7%. And they mean it's a small gap. It is really a small gap. So,
wow, yeah, that is crazy. I've heard it's like 7% there, then like I think like a little less than 2% go to the league.
Yes,
which is crazy. And then once you got to college, you started doing workouts, and obviously those were a lot different. Was there a time where like you're like, man, I don't know if this college football thing is really for me? Was there a time like your faith got tested when you first got to college?
Probably that first week my faith got tested because I think a lot of college students, even like anybody, they understand once you get away from home, man, your parents are not there to help you push through this thing. So that's why I try to take my role a little bit more serious because I understand I was there. I remember those workouts. I remember those early mornings. I remember staying up long nights trying to study because I didn't have that little push. I didn't have that little kick in the butt or whatnot to just help me just get through it because college is very, very different. When you're doing it on your own, it is very, very hard. So it makes you man up pretty quick. So
yeah, it's a whole new ball game because you don't have like all your teachers on you. You're at a huge campus where like you like Neil said, like you're just by yourself. And what you say like during that time, like that first week where your faith got tested and like throughout college, would you say like what are some of the biggest aspects you were able to like grow in your life, whether it was in football or just in the school or just life in general?
Basically trying to push through injury. So that's when sometimes my faith got really, really tested because you always say, why me, God? Why me? Why would this injury have to happen to me? After you're doing so good, you're doing so well, and then boom, something life hits you. But God would never put you through nothing that you can't come out of. He don't want to put you through that. He want to test you and just see how strong you could come out of it. So I had like 3 knee surgeries, and I always asked him, why me? But I always see it was something bigger. It was a bigger picture. So.
That's awesome. And that reminds me of a verse in John 13, verse 7, which says, these things that are happening to us now, we don't understand, but later we will understand when we trust in God. And I think that's a great testament to Neil today, how, he's around college athletes that obviously in football, a lot of people are going to get injured. So him just being able to be a voice and talk to those guys, because something I always tell people, when you're battling adversity, the worst thing you can do is battle it by yourself. And Neil, was there some people that really helped you out whenever you were dealing with those injuries?
Basically my school chaplain, to be honest. And then one of my close teammates, he became our team chaplain. His name's Sean Pugh. He's the player development of the Detroit Lions, matter of fact. He helped me get a little through it. And just basically my friends, they just helped me and try to help me push through it. And just basically, I always just prayed. I come from a church family, and I always just try to keep praying and growing from there. So
that's awesome. And then were all those injuries all at Western Kentucky, or did some of them happen at Georgia Southern too, which is the second school you went to?
2 of them happened at Western, and then one of them happened at Georgia Southern. So when I got over to Southern, I thought the sky was the limit. I thought, okay, this is my year. This is happening to me basically, and then boom, knee injury again, and I was just so baffled that it happened, man, and I couldn't get my knee back to cycle like I wanted it to, and I was trying to push through it. I was trying to push through it faster than I expected, and so I didn't have to sit out, and it just wasn't working. But God had bigger plans for me, so I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now. So it's a blessing to just do this now, because God didn't want me to go through that. God didn't want me to just keep suffering and just trying to force my body to do something that it couldn't do at the time. It wanted me to sit down and just take a break and then just focus on what really matters. So
that's awesome. And I think that can relate to a lot of people that are dealing with something in their life right now that you just want it to go away. And you just want to tell God that if this just goes away, then I can pursue whatever you have for me, God. But the reality is sometimes in life, like, God puts us through challenges, but challenges aren't always a terrible thing. Sometimes those challenges come so we can learn through them and see that maybe God has an even bigger plan for us. I remember when I started losing my sight, it was such a shock that I was losing my sight. And I remember every day I would get in my car and try to drive, but right when I started backing out of the driveway, I was like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. But the reason I was doing that is because, like, every day I just wanted to change. But the biggest thing that helped me, and just like Neil said, the biggest thing that helped him is sometimes realizing that the best thing we can do is not just pray that everything would change, but instead pray that we could just trust in God so we could go to where He has called us to be. And so kind of after your football career ended, Neil, did you know you wanted to go into coaching right after, or was it something that someone just offered?
Well, I had a minor in coaching, so I pretty much knew I wanted to go into coaching because all my teammates, they always looked for me to be that guy that helped them just get through anything. That can help them through plays, help them just push through anything. So I was always that coach on the field. So, like, if they're lining up wrong, I can correct that. If they didn't get the call, I'll help them through that or whatnot. So even my teammates, after I left, they'll be calling me, Coach. They'll be like, Neil, look at this move. And then I was like, I'll try to coach them through it. So they always trusted me just so. I always knew I wanted to coach. I just didn't know I didn't know I was going to be doing it. So
Okay. So yeah, everyone around you always kind of knew you kind of as, like, when you were on the field, the player's coach in a way.
Yes.
Like, always, like, so you were the guy that kind of always, like, knew where you're supposed to be, or, like, knew, like, was really good with, like, your technique. And
yes, that's so true. My high school coach, matter of fact, he told me, once I went back to my high school and started coaching there, he said, I knew you was going to be a coach. Just the way you used to act, the way you just used to move around to the guys, I just knew you was going to be a coach. His name is Coach Billy Monahan. And then he put so much into me so I can just put so much into other people. And it's just a blessing, so.
That's awesome. And was that the first school you started coaching at after your playing career, your high school?
Yes, my high school. I started coaching there back in 2011. I did that for 4 years. We won a state championship. We won 2 regional championships right after that. And then 2014, I left and went to Kentucky Wesleyan. It was my first college job. And we took that team from 0-10 to 7-4 the next year. Like, it was only a guy on that team had 2 sacks on the whole team, on the whole roster. So next year we had a player, I got a chance to coach up a player who had 10 sacks in one season. So that turnaround was pretty good. So.
And was that? Were you the D-line coach on that team?
I was the D-line coach there, and I got a chance to work with some great coaches. I got a chance to coach some great players, and I was a strength coach there too. So. It was a blessing to just be able to just mold those young men and just keep grinding those young men and just so they can get up to their dreams and get up to their goals. So it was an honor to even get a chance to just help Keelan Cole. Keelan Cole, he's a star right now for the Raiders. He's a star receiver that was on our team that year, and he just shocked the world in D2 right there. He broke the record in touchdowns. He broke the record in receiving yards. So he was a special kid. So
that's awesome. And I'm sure you were able to really see how special of a kid he was being the strength coach and during some of those workouts. I'm sure he was just from going D2 to NFL. I'm sure he's one of the hardest workers on the team.
He was definitely one of the hardest workers on the team because when he first got there, he could only do 135 once. But when he left, he did 215 17 times at Pro Day. So
that was on the bench?
Yeah, that was on the bench. So
well, and how many years was that? Was that 3 years or 4?
That was 4. He played there for 4 years. So and he just sprouted. So he broke records in track and he broke records in football. So he was a different kid.
That's awesome.
He was a different kid. And I coached there for 4 years. And then from there, I went overseas and I started coaching in the GFL. So it's European football, but it's Americanized. So you get a chance to just get over there and just help guys just keep playing the game. So and that's a great thing. One of our kids that was from Kentucky Wesleyan, he went over there with us. And then we helped each other, just kept growing from there. So we went on to the championship, really, where we lost. So then I came back to America, and I started coaching back at my high school. We went back to a state championship. We lost to Joey Bowes to them down at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, not a bad name to mention.
Yeah, so down at St. Thomas Aquinas. But it was an honor to just get a chance to just coach against him. So and then I just kept grinding it out. And then 2019, Erskine called, and then I started working there. We built the program up from ground zero, had no players, no nothing, no stadium, no weight room. We just built the kids up on hopes and dreams and just showed them that they can be able to do something and be able to play college football once we get this thing up and running. And I coached there for the last 4 years of my life. And then I got the call December, and the rest is history to be here.
That's awesome. And then Erskine is in South Carolina, right?
Yes, Erskine is in South Carolina. It's right outside of Clemson. So it's a small D2, and it's a program that's just up and coming. So
and then when you were at Erskine, I know you're the strength coach, D-line coach, and then there's some other roles too, right?
I wore a lot of hats. So when you're at a smaller school, you're going to wear a lot of hats. You just got to know how to adapt, adjust, and overcome. So that was one thing I always was just good at. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I'm sure just being at so many different places really taught you how to overcome different obstacles in so many different ways, especially going overseas because there's so many challenges that come with that when you're used to just living in America your whole life.
Going overseas was a very, very, very just culture shock. Just everything over there is just different. Everything over there is just so unique. So, but the crazy thing is they can speak great English.
Oh, wow. And where were you at overseas again?
In Kiel.
Okay.
In Kiel, Germany. So right outside of Hamburg, and then not too far from Denmark. So it was a beautiful, beautiful little town, but it helped me in my game of coaching. So a lot of big names has been over there to help them keep growing, and a lot of guys that went over there to help them keep growing in football. So, and I'm blessed to even just had the opportunity to go over there and just show them my skills. So.
That's awesome. And then you said it was in whenever you got the offer from Arkansas, was it Danny that reached out to you?
Danny reached out. He asked me, did I want to roll off the field? And I was a little weary at first. And then he told me, he said, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you the right guy for this role. You just got to think about it and just know you can do it. Because if you coach high school football, everything we do now, you have done it. And I coach high school football. And if you coach small ball, you have done it. And I coach small ball, he said. So this job is going to be a piece of cake, and you my guy. So I interviewed. That was my first time ever interviewing, so I was super nervous and whatnot. And then the rest is history. I've been here just grinding it out, molding these young men so they can be better every day. So.
That's awesome. And then whenever you're deciding if you were going to come to Arkansas, was there a moment where you knew that man, this is the job for me, or was it kind of was it hard to figure out if you're going to come here?
It was a little hard. I just knew in my mind, I wrote down all my goals so I can see them at the beginning of 2022. and I knew one of them was to go to the Power Five, be a Power Five coach, and just on that level, and leave Erskine in this year. So I knew to not sign my lease. So I put that on the board. I put everything on the board, and at the bottom it said, keep faith. And then I put an exclamation mark. So I knew when my lease was up. So it was so wild. I was like, man, Danny, if you didn't call, I knew my lease was going to be up anyway. So I knew, like, I had one more month and my lease was going to be up. And then I just had to make a big decision. So sometimes you got to put that goal into just on the board so you can see it. So God said, walk by faith, not by sight. And I just had to keep faith on it. So
that's awesome. And that's great, because like there's so many challenges that come in life where we want to say, like, God, like, can you just like show me direction right now? But sometimes God like doesn't like let whatever we want to happen right away. But sometimes we have to wait just for His perfect timing. An acronym I love for faith is forget about I, trust Him. And I think that's a great testament right there. And once you got to Arkansas, what did your role as with player development? Was it pretty easy at first, or was it kind of like there's some learning curves?
It was definitely some learning curves. So our biggest focus that we try to focus with our day-to-day focus with our kids is basically networking. So it was hard for me to get outside of my comfort zone, to just get outside the football locker room, to just get out there and just meet different people and be able to just interact with them and just show them that I do care for these guys. But it's hard for me to just get away from that football, that game. Because when you're a coach, boy, you're stuck in that office so many hours, and you don't get a chance to just really get a chance to just see different people and just be able to just touch different people. So that was one of my biggest things I had to do right there. So just being able to just network in different food pools.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a huge difference because like most of the coaching you've done has been like in Florida, Kentucky, kind of like near the East Coast. Coming to Arkansas, I'm sure it's a lot different, like kind of like culture shock in a way too.
Oh my goodness, yes, it really was. So man, I'm just used to that sunny vibe. When I got here, it was freezing, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, it's not that cold." I'm like, "No, it is cold right now. I am going through the blues right now." So yes, it was a culture shock, and then it was a little more like a little weird because I was off the field. But then I started thinking, I've been doing everything I have to do now. I've been doing it all my life. So, and then it's great. God has showed me different points of my life that can make me a better man in the player development role. So,
yeah, that's awesome. And in the player development role, something that I'm sure that you've enjoyed is like in football. Like I know you've realized through so many injuries is that like the game, like no matter if you play in the NFL for 20 years, it doesn't last forever. But what does last is the type of person you are. So I'm sure something that's been rewarding for you has just been being around the players and helping like mold them. Has there been some like lessons that you've tried to instill in them?
Just basically just be their self and just be real with their self and just showing them that it is okay to fail. It is okay to fail, and it is okay to just work through failure. So it is okay to fail. It is no one has never been perfect. Everyone has failed at something. So once you realize you failed at something, now it's okay to just pick yourself up and just keep moving. So it's a lesson in every failure. So.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And one of my favorite quotes from Mike Tyson says, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face." And that's a great quote because like so many times in life we think like of this great plan we have, but right when something doesn't go our way or we mess up,
yes.
We think that's what defines us. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we can make because sometimes like the biggest testimonies in our life come from the biggest tests, and but the only way we'll produce that testimony is by, like Neil said earlier, having faith no matter the circumstance. And has there been some situations like at Arkansas or wherever it's been where you've had to you've been in a place where, man, it's just been hard to even have faith, but by having that faith, you've reaped a harvest that like you didn't even know like was possible?
basically last year. So my team wasn't doing too well, and then like I was just struggling mentally. I had wrecked I wrecked my car. A deer hit it, and that scared the living mess out of me. And then I didn't have no way to get back and forth to work, so I was basically catching a ride from a coach there, and I was catching a ride back and forth, and then we was losing. We went on a losing streak that was just very, 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 I wasn't used to. So it was just me just trying to just keep our kids motivated and keep our kids just going and just keep teaching and just motivating them and just keep building them up so they just won't give up, because the plan was just always to just help them reach their higher goals. So, and then if them reaching their higher goals is to graduate and be young men and just help them go through this failure so they can understand it is okay. So, and then last year it just was really, really, really hard for my faith, because I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know like where would I come up out of, but I just knew it was going to be something special. So being able to just get here, because I just knew I wanted to be a D1. So, and then the rest is history. I just kept believing and believing and believing, and then I got here. So
that's awesome. And kind of going off what you said about like how like you've been able to share with players about how like failure doesn't define you, and about the importance of being yourself. That's one thing I've enjoyed about Neil. From just being around the Arkansas football program for the past year and getting to know him a little bit is no matter who's around, like Neil's just always himself, and that's something I appreciate about him, because like I always tell people, like one of the worst mistakes we can make in life is trying to be someone that we're not, because God has only created one of us for a reason. And where does that kind of come from, Neil? Just being yourself every day.
I always felt like I just wanted to be myself because of my big family. Because once you start just trying to be somebody that you're not, they can see straight through you. So if you just know how to just be yourself and just be your true self, they'll always be able to just relate to you and just be able to just come to you and gravitate to you. So the real will always show. The fake will always just shine so people can just shine away from you. So
yeah, that's awesome. Another thing I've enjoyed about Neil is how intentional you are about like genuinely like caring about others. Something that you do, I know you've done it with a lot of the players, is like before like they can leave, whether it's on the you're driving them to a class or wherever it is, you always try to get them to tell you like a fun fact about themselves. Where does that kind of come from?
It's basically icebreakers. I want to try to get a chance to just break the ice with everybody. So everybody, I want to know their story. I want to know. I just want to let everybody know that everybody has a story, everybody have a secret, and everybody have a problem. But it's okay. That's you to know your problem, your secret, and let us help you through this problem and whatnot. So that's where the icebreaker came from. It's just the fun fact thing. It was just something about it. So
yeah, and I think what's cool about the fun fact is like I'm sure you've realized there's some things like that certain players have said that you would have never expected. No. And it's just cool because like now you know something about them that maybe like not many people know.
That's true.
Like for instance, the fun fact about you that I never would have known if you didn't ask the question is you're vegan.
Yes.
And I think it's cool. Like there's some things like you never know about people. Like if you weren't so like intentional about actually like getting to know them, that just like goes in like helping like build that relationship and trust with the players or whoever it is you come across.
Yes, because my fun fact, that's true, that I am vegan, and it's hard. It's hard to be vegan when I'm always surrounded by carnivores. So
yeah.
That is very, very wild, because everybody want to know, why do you eat this? Where do you get your protein from? Why are you so big? Oh, my goodness, when did you stop eating meat? So I always just tell them, man, it is what it is. Like, I'm going to be able to do what I'm going to do, and you're going to be able to eat what you're going to eat, because that's what it is. So.
Yeah, what's crazy to me is like, I'm sure with being vegan, like you have to be like so insanely disciplined, because like even like when you walked in, like I offered you like pumpkin bread, but like it has eggs in it, so like you have to like know almost every ingredient in what you're eating. So I'm sure that's definitely helped with like discipline, just like in your daily life.
Yes, that really, really helped me, because, man, I was about 4 or 5, man. I used to put down a 50-pack of chicken quick. I go to B-Dubs or whatever, and I'll just be just indulging in food. But now I got to just focus on what I need to eat and what I am eating. And if it's got a wrapper, I want to read it. I want to see what ingredients is in it. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's definitely like for someone like me who's not vegan. Like I kind of if something looks good or like it's healthy enough, like I'll eat it. But that's pretty cool. And then kind of going to our next question. I know you talked a little bit about your mom earlier about how when she came to faith. How did that like impact your faith? Like when your mom came to faith?
Well, when my mom came to faith, it really helped me because it helped me just answer some questions or whatnot. Because my mom was really out there, and I didn't know if I ever can get her back mentally. And then seeing God can just change a sad story to good, to just bring her back. It just helped me just keep believing because I was going through it without never having a mother figure coming all the way up. Sometimes you just need that really love and that soft touch because my daddy gave me a lot of tough love. And my mama, she's going to give you that soft and just work you through it. But her crossing over, giving her life to Christ, it just showed me that, man, God can do anything if you believe. He can. That faith of a mustard seed, he would move mountains. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And then our podcast being called the Rise Above Podcast, how has like your faith helped you like rise above storms of your life, no matter if it's something small or something big? Like 2 years ago, whenever like your lease was about to run up and you didn't know where you were going to go.
Basically, that was very funny. When my lease was about to go, I just really didn't know where I was going to go. I thought I was going to probably move back to Tampa and just start over from scratch. But me just keep believing and just keeping faith, it just helped me get to where I am right now. So I just never gave up. I just never gave up. And then, because at one point, a lot of nights, a lot of long nights, we was losing. It was some hard, tough nights. So it was a very, very small school, and it's very, very rural. And I just thought, oh my goodness, like help me get through this. And I just kept trying to get to the next level, and understanding God got a plan for you. Just take your time and just get better each day. So once I realized that, just keeping faith, I just felt that peace.
That's awesome. And I'm sure like during that time, just to have the ability to keep going, I'm sure you had to have a strong why. So like, what was your why that like kept you going every day during that time?
My why is my family. I always do this thing because my family I can just speak through them, through me, basically. My family is me, basically. That last name, Harrell. So I know you can see it a lot of times, like my little cousin, he plays for Michigan. It means so much to me to just see that he's reaching his dreams. So he's doing his goals. He's a DN, something I used to play, and just being able to pour into him, pour into me as he go out there and ball. Just my brothers, like back in Florida, my mom, my father, or whatnot, and my why is my family. That's why I just do this in and day out. So
that's awesome. And an acronym I love for family, which I'm sure has been so applicable in your life and so many people listening to this, is forget about me, I love you. And I've loved that because like when times get hard and like you don't even know like where your next step is going to lead, but you can think of those people in your life that I'm going to keep going because I'm going to make them proud, and I got something bigger to fight for, and that's my last name or whoever it is in my family, and I'm going to keep going for them, and that's something that is really powerful. And for anyone listening, like you're going through a tough time where you don't know like where you're going to go, or like maybe it's something small but it's just nagging at you daily. Just remember, like there's always someone in your life who is there for you, and when you keep going for them, like you not only know how it could help someone else, but there's so many people that come across you in your life that you making the action to keep going because you have a why that's stronger than whatever you're facing, that it could help them later on down the road too. And so after hearing Neil's story about how, there's been times that seem uncertain, but he's been able to rise above because his why is greater. What's kind of a message that you have, Neil, for someone that is listening to this that just got that diagnosis where, man, they don't even know if they're going to even live that much longer, or they're dealing with something in their family or something with mental health where it's just nagging at them daily and they don't even know what to do. What's your message to them of how they can rise above whatever they're facing?
Never give up. Just never give up. That faith of a mustard seed can move mountains. So as long as you just keep faith and just never just give up and just keep hope alive, anything is possible. So anything is possible.
That's awesome. And I'm going to leave you guys with this. In Mark 9, verse 23, it says, anything is possible for one who believes. So no matter what you're facing in life, don't give up. Don't ever give up. And always believe, because even if it seems like no one believes in you, God always believes in you. So turn to him in whatever situation it is, and you can always rise above whatever it is. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Rise Above podcast with me and Neil Harrell, and we cannot wait to catch you guys next week, as you can catch our podcast on any social media platforms or any podcast platforms, or also on YouTube. And know that no matter what you're facing throughout this week or for the rest of your life, you can always rise above the storms of life. Thank you, guys.